An AI-generated robocall mimicking the voice of U.S. President Joe Biden has appealed to the voters of New Hampshire to not vote in the presidential primary this week and save their votes for the general elections to be held in November.
생성형 인공지능을 이용해 조 바이든 미국 대통령의 목소리를 흉내낸 자동 녹음 전화가 유권자들에게 이번 주 있을 민주당의 첫 번째 예비선거에 참여하는 대신 11월 대선을 위해 투표를 유보할 것을 독려하는 사례가 등장했습니다. 이런 식으로 AI가 사용된 게 처음인데요. 참 들어볼까요? What's going on?
Yeah, so I really think it's important for us living in this day and age, media literacy. I really think that we need to learn how to differentiate between fake news, real news, fake voices, and real voices.
But it's hard to tell the difference.
It's very hard. And, we talk about voice phishing all the time. How do we differentiate that? But this is exactly what happened. So a robocall, which appeared to be an AI-generated fake voice of U.S. President Joe Biden. So it's appealed to the voters of New Hampshire. It's a state, of course, in the U.S. To not vote in the presidential primary that's to be held on January 23rd local time, that's Tuesday, and save their votes for the general elections, which will be held in November. And they say a large volume of these calls were made to various people. And the New Hampshire Justice Department has advised the state's voters to, of course, disregard this message, clarifying that voting in the New Hampshire presidential primary election does not preclude a voter from additionally voting in the November general election. So they say, to take care of this problem, Biden's name is not going to appear in the New Hampshire Democratic primary ballot in the current cycle. And after accepting the president's request, the Democratic National Committee approved a new early primary state schedule, which took away from New Hampshire its usual status of being the first presidential primary contest and gave that position to South Carolina instead.
이렇게 바이든의 목소리를 악용해서 AI의 자동 녹음 그 전화가 나간 겁니다. 영어로는 이런 걸 robocall이라고 해요. robocop이 아니라 robocall인데 이제 이미 녹음이 된 그런 이제 전화가 나가는 걸 말하고 robocall이 또 일종의 스캠이기도 하죠.
And I bet this is so easy. Can you, AI does everything these days. And
you wouldn't be able to know.
His voice is
everywhere.
everywhere. So you have all the data. So it would be very easy to create this sort of content and just send it out to anyone who's listed as a Democrat, on their, if they have a list of these phone numbers, it would be very easy to send out.
Exactly. Apparently, not only did they use the likeness of his voice, but the wording was certain words that
Similar.
Biden would use.
How he would speak.
So
which I think would be very easy for AI to copy as well.
Yeah. So let me read for you what was said in the robocall. Something along the lines of, what a bunch of malarkey, or malarkey. I guess this is a term, it says here, this is a characteristic term that the 81-year-old president uses. No one else uses this term. It's an old term. And so people, I guess, thought, it must be President Biden, because only he uses this kind of term. And then it says, the value of voting Democratic. Our votes count. It's important you save your vote for the November election. We'll need your help in electing Democrats up and down the ticket. 이런 식으로 이제 녹음 메시지가 쭉 나갔다고 합니다. 알고 보니까 전혀 바이든 대통령의 목소리가 아니었고요. AI로 생성된 것이더라. likeness라는 단어도 이 AI와 함께 요즘 많이 나와요. 유사성이라는 단어인데 목소리의 유사성, 얼굴의 유사성, 딥페이크도 많이 쓰니까 그런 것들을 이제 악용을 하는 경우들이 좀 점점 늘어나고 있어서 참 걱정입니다. 미국 지금 이제 진짜 대선 얼마 안 남았는데 11월이죠. 그때 또 AI가 앞으로 어떻게 쓰여질지 많이 걱정이 된다고 해요. 미국 내에서. Let's have a look at the first expression. Mimic.
Mimic. So mimic means to imitate or copy someone's actions or words, sometimes or especially in order to entertain or to ridicule.
흉내를 내는 거를요, mimicking 한다라고 합니다. 자, 그리고 presidential primary.
Presidential primary. So in the U.S., a presidential or primary election to appoint delegates to a party conference or to select the candidate for a principal, especially presidential election, is called a primary.
네, 미국에서는 이 대통령 예비선거를 primary election 아니면 그냥 primary라고 합니다. 그래서 각 정당에 이런 primary가 있죠. 자, 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. An AI-generated robocall mimicking the voice of US President Joe Biden has appealed to the voters of New Hampshire to not vote in the presidential primary this week and save their votes for the general elections to be held in November. And let's move on to the final headline.